Right here, right now. Watching the Switch and stuff and other things.
Listen, this is the most on time we've been ever, probably.
We actually had everything ready. You were just waiting for me to hit tweet it to post it. Otherwise, we were ready to go. Hey, how you doing, friend?
Hey there, hi there, ho there.
Welcome to the SideQuest, your weekly journey into the wonderful world of video games, video game culture, and the geeks who do all of that. This is the fourth podcast in 6 days that we've done on SideQuesting.
Yeah.
Totally fine.
Yeah. I explicitly said that I do not have
3 minutes late. Unacceptable. Yeah. Sorry, what was that?
As I said, I explicitly said in the Discord, I do not have the social battery for 2 a week, let alone 3, 4, or 5. Like the madman, you're trying to pull some stuff over here.
Content, baby, content. That's what it's all about. Content. But no, it's been a heck of a week. That's why I figured let me knock a few of these suckers out. I checked, and apparently I had written. If this is correct, I'd written 15 articles so far today.
Yeah.
And I've got at least two, probably 3 more to go, depending on how I'm feeling. So that's good times. Just trying to get a content. Why would I be writing articles? First of all, I'm Dolly Domofsky. Joining me, the always wonderful JJ Holder right there. Or at @j.bisky.social. Bisky. We are sidequesting.com. Like I mentioned, your favorite website and podcast. Please comment, subscribe, tell grandparents, tell your uncle, tell Uncle Charlie, because Uncle Charlie wants to know. Don't tell Uncle Vinny. Forget Uncle Vinny. I'll use the F-bomb later on, so we don't. That's that first 5 minutes of the episode.
Yeah, I caught myself. You saw, I did good. I caught myself.
Yes, you did very good. You did very good. Find us sidequesting.com, like I said. SideQuesting TV on YouTube and Twitch. Find our Patreon. The link is on sidequesting.com. And I want to thank our executives, which are Tom Johnson and Punctified. You can find them on the socials at Punctified, PUNKDEFIED, and at thattomjohnson.bisky.social. They're over there. Like he uses it. Yeah, he's still on that other place. Thank you also to the producers, Stefan Swanlin, Zero the Prototype, Exaginous, who's trolling us right now, and Jeffrey Grubb. Y'all are wonderful. And if you want to become a Patreon member, the link is on the website. Go ahead, click it, please. Help us out. We're going to need money to pay off the website so we can actually purchase a Switch 2, because that's what we're going to talk about today.
Pretty much only. That's
pretty much only. Yeah, I think so. That's all. Yeah, we're only going to talk about the Switch 2. I'm just going to go ahead and share. Let me go to YouTube. I'll share the video for the Switch 2 as they're discussing it in the background. We'll go ahead and just kind of chat and
I took notes, man.
And you took notes.
I like it's a train of thought. So it's just everything that they talked about. I did wrote something.
So here we go. Let's Switch 2. Let's start off with the hardware. So they had the thing today at 9 o'clock, right? 9 a.m., 6 a.m. your time.
9 a.m. Yeah. That'd be great.
Let me tell you how my day went. Woke up at 5:30. Took my daughter dropped her off at high school at I think 7 o'clock. She had to be there. I was very tired because I had the day off. Came back home, napped for an hour and a half. It was great. Woke up at 8:45 a.m. I was ready and raring to go to talk Nintendo Switch DOS.
So that's
everybody did that too, right?
Frames per second for everyone else, or is it just me?
Probably a little bit of both. That's quite all right. I can throw a video in there. I can just do static. It doesn't matter. People have seen this.
My day is I started my day exactly the same as I always do. 4:45 in the morning, my alarm goes off. I punch in at 6 a.m. I just put this on my phone and did the first part of my day at work is just all computer based. So just clacking away on the computer while this thing ran. Also had my notepad over there, so I just wrote notes down, and that's why I wasn't live chatting along, because it's just I am multitasking.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah. Every once in a while, you would chime in, which is great.
Towards the end when I was like wrapping up my bullshit. So 5 minutes, I can say that now.
I have Reed's is a candy shop out of Toronto, Canada, I think, somewhere in Canada. Holy cow! This is the gummies that we had relatives drop us off. But the Switch 2, we'll just go right into it. They discussed the Joy-Cons, right? Magnetic attach. They discussed the size of this thing. It's 7.9. It's at least 7.9 inches. See, JJ, look, it's at least 7.9 inches.
Yeah, that's right.
And
you measure from like just around the back to just past.
It's the same thickness or thinness of the original Switch, which is pretty cool.
Which they use thickness, so we gotta go with thickness.
Yep.
I like that they just say the thumbsticks are bigger. Like,
they don't want to admit that it's the Hall effect because it would show something bad. So they just said, just bigger thumbsticks.
What do we know?
From all of the leaks thus far that have gotten every single thing right, their Hall effect. They've changed the way they do their sticks, so they're apparently Hall effect.
It's funny because like it's not like it costs anymore now.
Nope, exactly.
Like back in the day, like if you like when you take it's like 10 years ago, it was much cheaper to just have like some servos on a held together by rubber bands, which is quite literally. But nowadays, it's like, there's nothing. You can get replacement Hall effect joysticks for like $6.
Yes. Yep. So, bigger screen. The battery is larger, but there's actually less of battery life because it's a bigger screen.
The bigger screen. It's running HDR. It's 120 frame megahertz.
120.
That was one thing I did not expect out of them to say. They never talk stats. That was a crazy stat to go right into. This time around, Nintendo seemed to find the perfect middle ground between Nintendo and like the stuff people want to hear and know about, like talking about like screen refresh rates and pixel density and stuff like that.
They're not going to go all in, but they're going to give enough to say, we understand what you guys are talking about.
Yeah, more than what Nintendo usually gives us. Like it was insane at one point when they brought up Metroid and they actually had like quality mode and performance mode options.
Performance mode, that was cool. And so let's see what else. I'm looking at the stuff that I wrote down too. So it's an LCD screen. It's not OLED, but it's an LCD with HDR.
Not OLED yet.
Not OLED yet. That'll be later on. That'll be after the tariffs. It still looks good. It looks really good. I mean, it's a better LCD than what they have on the current
1080p.
Switch. 1080p, which is great. I mean, it's the.
The Steam Deck's 800.
It matches. Does it match or come or better than the Steam Deck screen?
No, because Steam Deck's resolution is 800.
Oh, okay. So it's better than Steam Deck.
Yeah.
So let's see here. It's same thickness. So when it's docked, it goes to 4K. So it spits out to 4K using the what do they call the NVIDIA DLSS, whatever that is.
DLSS. Sorry. With a fan built into the dock.
Yeah, with the fan built into the dock, because it's gonna need it, but it needs it to push out that power.
Can't wait to
of the Switch 2.
Can't wait to huff that air. See what that's
like. The Switch 2 also has built-in microphone and the ability for 3D audio. So that's pretty cool, actually. So you can sync up a headset and stuff. So
I said it on Blue Sky, but I'll say it here too that I like the headphone jack just becoming normal in controllers now. That's nice. So phones lost the headphone jack, but video game controllers found it.
The controller is really cool. So the headphone jack is on the Switch, obviously, but it's also on the new Pro controller, which you can't see it there, but it's somewhere. I'll show it later on maybe. But in that, the Pro controller also has the new kind of a customizable paddles in the back. That's pretty badass. That is, from accessibility standpoint, that's badass. So yeah, this thing still has NFC because they showed Amiibo, and there were a bunch of Amiibo announcements since this
there
thing
were
aired.
a bunch of Amiibo announcements. There was one singular Amiibo announcement.
No, well, wait a minute. No. So during the showcase, they briefly showed an Amiibo kind of hovering over the controller, just kind of zipping through. Then Capcom said, "We got 3 new Amiibo and Amiibo cards." And then afterward, Nintendo announced 4 new Zelda Tears of the Kingdom.
Afterward
Amiibo.
doesn't count.
Yeah, afterward doesn't count. But yeah, I mean it's a hefty device. They are using AI to do a lot, from the processing standpoint, which is totally fine because that's how they're able to get. There's an article that on one of the talks earlier, they had like their talk to the developers thing, where they strictly asked them, "Hey, how are you guys getting the Switch games on this? Because it's not the same hardware as the Switch." And they basically said, "Well, it's not like what the Wii," because they cited the Wii to the Wii U and the GameCube to Wii and other other consoles where they had to essentially shove a secondary console in there. Yeah, they said no, it's not like that. And yet it's not full emulation like they were doing with NSO and that kind of stuff. It's actually somewhere in between in that the game is being read, so they actually have some type of software reader for the game, and then it is being translated using, must be AI or something, being retranslated so that it can be played on the Switch too. So it's actually a very novel way to have backwards, compatibility work out. And I think there's like the majority of the games work. There's Nintendo is going through the testing process, and they actually have it on their website to show where they are with a lot of games and what games are having issues, what are not having issues. I think the original Fortnite isn't working super great yet. It works kind of bare bones, but it has some issues. That's okay, by the way. They announced Fortnite is coming to Switch 2 anyway, so you're just going to download that version anyways. Yeah, and the carts are the same, but they're red.
Yeah,
that's the big difference with the cart. And also,
at least aesthetically,
yeah.
Internally, they're kind of doing that X kind of thing where it's like, that higher transfer rates. It's
higher transfer rates. You can't use the typical micro SD card. You have to get the new micro SD Express storage, which right now I think tops out at 1 terabyte for like $120 or $140, something. Those prices will come down eventually too. But this sucker starts off with 256 gigabytes instead of the 30. You'll be fine not getting a card right away. Trust me, folks.
Listen, I'm going to kind of go down some of the stuff.
Go ahead, JJ, take it away.
No, as they sort of announced it, we'll go there at some point because, like, there are a handful of games there that, like, as of right now, don't really barely fit on modern consoles. So you're gonna need a card.
You're gonna need a card. We'll get into that. It is wild what they're able to accomplish with some of these things.
I did write in my notes is why did Koichi's suit look like he was being drafted in the 2003 NBA?
That's right. Yep.
He listen, man. It's like he forgot a suit and had to borrow it from somebody. Like,
by the way, take a look. What game were they just showing there? Woolly World, right? This is Yoshi's Woolly World, isn't it? I think, or Crafted World.
That's Woolly
One
World.
of the two.
They spent the first half because they hadn't announced anything yet.
Yeah.
They were only showing Switch games on the Switch 2 because all they had announced at this point,
right?
What?
Older Switch games, I think.
Yeah.
And what's interesting about this one is that, so Nintendo put out a list of games that are receiving updates for the Switch 2. This Yoshi was not on that list, so I'm only going to assume that a lot of games will. It's just going to take some time for them to get through the whole system.
I actually think that there'll be far less games receiving updates than you would think. I think they're not going to bother. I don't think Woolly World's going to get an update. I don't think,
not a major update. I think just, whatever. Maybe it's whatever.
I don't think they get any update. I think the only updates you're going to get are the ones that they sort of announced with the paid upgrades and
the list of free ones.
Yeah, a handful of other ones maybe throughout the year, but like Nintendo's not going to go backwards too deep. They're going to go to, because a lot of the stuff that they announced are like, tentpole titles anyways.
Yeah.
Like
Here are the games that will function on it with just function on it, I guess. I don't know if that meant that they're whatever. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I mean that was my point.
No,
I don't think they're going to update a whole lot of anything. I think even the Switch 2 editions are going to sort of bottom out within the first year, probably.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So there's there are versions of the there is like a list of games. Initially, there's like 15 or so games that are receiving free updates. Everything from like the Game Maker Garage and the Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, which are going to get some free updates, and those are basically saying we're going to get these games to work. And I mean the
it's literally
the
just
Zelda
saying,
2D games we're going to get these suckers to finally work on a console.
Hopefully find the missing frames in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, basically.
Yeah.
Which that's going to be. I can't imagine a whole lot more after that. Like I think it's safe to say probably Mario Odyssey will get some, or
Mario Odyssey is on the list.
Yeah, I mean, like I could see Mario Odyssey even getting like not a Mario Odyssey, like Mario Wonder.
Mario Wonder,
getting like a update, like
sure, one of the
more
bigger
content update plus make it a Switch 2 edition kind of thing.
Because they never released any DLC or anything for that game, so I could totally see some fun Odyssey-based DLC for Mario Wonder. Let's
just go right. Let's talk about the C button, because that was.
I was going to get to. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about the C button.
C button.
I'll play the video
I kind of always assumed that the C button was. I was like, well, we already see the capture button, so it's probably going to be chat or some BS. And
so that's what I mentioned it in my big prediction episode. It's probably it probably means chat. It's probably like the hub or chat or something that lets you talk. So
basically what it opens up Nintendo Discord.
Nintendo Discord in a way, like 2 decades too late.
Yeah, it's got the whole thing just looks so basic. Unnecessary.
Unnecessary is good. There were some good comments within the Discord y'all were making about who this could be for.
Yeah. This is definitely for kids. I mean, let's be honest. Like I think that's being able to BS with one another with what they'll announce in a couple of seconds in this video, the camera, and having the different screens. This was brutal to watch because those screens at the bottom, first of all, are running at like 5 frames per second.
Right.
Like, I couldn't imagine wanting to sit.
So what it's basically doing is called screen share. Is a game screen share where it will share the video from up to 5 people total, including yourself. But the other 4 at the bottom are they're being you can basically see the screens of other people, and it looked bad because they were cutting down that video. So that obviously we don't want to. If you're playing Mario Kart online, the last thing you want to do is have, and in this Nintendo, is have 4 other picture bogging down your down your feed.
Conceptually, I like the idea of being able to like party up, but all playing different games, and it reminds me of the old Xbox 360 parties.
Right.
Where you were all just in one room doing your thing, and you can invite each other to each other's games, or just keep playing your own games, but like being able to see it too.
Yes. But now, where I see something like this, sorry, no, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, that's not. But also, like, I like the idea of just like being able to see your friend's game.
Yes.
And
so this is kind of cool.
They show it in the trailer, like giving them help if they need it.
That's what I was going to bring up. Like, let's say you're going to play with a friend, and you're like, I just can't beat Millennia on Elden Ring. How do I do it? And I can share my screen, and JJ being the big Elden Ring player can guide me through how to do it, which is actually, and I think that is actually kind of a cool thing. I don't need to watch the full stream.
Yeah, conceptually it's all very cool. It is a button that I am never going to push.
Exactly. And I have that weird feeling we'll be able to, down the line, they'll remap that button because less people will be using it, they'll add something else to it.
Make it the iPhone action button where I can just like put it into.
But the idea of, hey, check out my screen while we're both playing this and see if you can help me out. That's a neat idea. Not a lot of people are going to use it unless unless enough people have played this Switch 2 game. I'm playing Xenoblade Chronicles 3 and X, and none of y'all are I'm not gonna be like, hey JJ, watch me right now.
Yeah,
you know. Interestingly, it's almost like it's like a very personal Twitch feed.
Yeah, because even later on in a couple of minutes here, when they show off the camera, and it gives it a very OBS basic overlay where it's just
look how bad that is. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Holy cow. And that's running in real time.
Yeah, desktop mode with those little
with little screens like that. Yeah. But
Nintendo releasing a webcam. That's weird.
It's I get it for the fitness stuff. It's gonna be really cool for the fitness stuff. Give me Ring Fit Adventure 2.
Yeah, let's say I was just
that camera. I think that'll actually be pretty cool.
Ring Fit 2 is gonna be sick.
Ring Fit 2 is gonna be sick. It is. I think it's a cool idea. So, and then here's where they go. Let's click. I need to see you guys. What if I just click this little button right here? I'm gonna keep talking about it till I click it. Nope, maybe not. He was taking a phone call from Miyamoto.
Yeah,
and everybody could see him. But yeah, there's the camera. So you got your camera there.
It's a very Nintendo design. I love it.
I like the simplicity of that camera, to be honest. It's a very Nintendo. Doesn't need to be anything special.
Here's the Discord boy.
There it is.
OBS, BS.
Yeah. With the bad rasterization around
Animal Crossing and not announcing an Animal Crossing. That's mean.
Chat here. You can chat anywhere you want, Ryan. It's not our first time. This is like our 8,000th time on Twitch.
Yeah, we go live simultaneously on Facebook's, YouTube, and Twitch. So
yeah. So it's whatever one.
We tried to do Twitter one time, but they were like, "No, you have to pay for it." And we said,
"You have to pay." We're like, "Peace out." Whenever Blue Sky gets streaming, yeah, I mean, again, interesting idea. They in the Mario Party game, they were using the camera to say, "Oh, you can see each other's faces."
Yeah.
While you're in the room, I'm like, I can already see everybody's face while I'm in.
They do throw in online at the very end of that whole thing, which makes more sense. But I definitely want to see your face as I steal 2 stars from you. That is a good.
This is kind of an interesting the idea of. Was it like the Nintendo World Championships? Being able to play those and having the streams go and see them could actually be kind of cool because those are already low frame rate.
I can't wait. Have they released the price for that camera yet?
I think the prices are out there. Wario tweeted something I didn't.
I gotta know what the price of that camera is because with Nintendo it could be it's either like. Oh, or
yeah. So I don't know. Whatever. Let's see here. What else do we got? We got the game share.
Game share. That was the thing. Like,
yes. Remember the DS?
Yes. I in my notes. It says game share is back. Long live the DS and Mario Kart DS and PAX lines. Because that was the. Oh, this will be great for PAX. It won't be out for PAX. It would be great for PAX. Yeah, there you go. 1 frame of blue shell setting exactly. Yeah. It'll be great for stuff like that because you'll be able to share, and it will work with the original Switch games, which is kind of cool. Like if I'm playing a game from the Switch 2, Mario Wonder or whatever, and I can just send it to somebody on the Switch. That's a neat way to bring. Yeah, the Switches can't be the ones to send the game. Yes, but they can receive a game from a Switch too. Like they're really showing and only Mario probably only Switch versions of those games. So that'd be so funny. Let's see here. So it's game share. Neat idea. I mean, that's something that my daughter and I play games all the time, and if I could share it with her, it might actually be kind of a fun way to collab without having to buy a whole separate one. I mean, obviously they announced that weird virtual game card thing last week, so this is just another. This answers a more realistic problem that because Nintendo's loves creating solutions to problems nobody really has, while ignoring the problems that people actually have. Because the card sharing thing doesn't really come into play for a lot of people at all. Sure, but having 2 Switches in your house and not having to have 2 copies of the game or because even for some people that like, there are some Nintendo games that just don't support like being able to load up a game on a different profile kind of thing. So like it's like Nintendo's answer to that is always confusing and weird, but at least this time it's like, no, you'll be able to share Clubhouse games, and they don't need to have Clubhouse games on their system at all in any way. It's just, here you go, let's play some Clubhouse games without having too much prep, which,
or maybe you want to
real thing.
Yeah. Maybe you want to share a GameCube game.
Maybe.
Because they announced the GameCube is coming to Nintendo Switch Online. I thought it would have been like DS first, and they kind of slowly worked their way up, but
no, absolutely. All of us said no, Dally. It's not going to be.
Yeah. Well, there were the rumors that you could attach a second screen to this, right? That was one of the bigger rumors. You could attach a second screen, even the original Switch's screen. You could play the Switch, the original GameCube games. It's not, we finally got Wind Waker on the Switch. It's the one with the non quality of life improvements.
Yeah, as I said, like there's no way I am playing Wind Waker this way ever again.
No,
I joked in my notes. It's like GameCube games are cool, but they're gonna have like at best like 10 games. Like what games? Because they show a handful of them. I wrote them all down. Everything that they showed.
They show, and I have the list of those too.
Actually, let's see. I had my guesses. That say it's like, what else? It's like Sunshine, Double Dash, and Wave Race, and then my brain went into like make wireless bongos.
Oh yeah, right. So the games that they showed right here, obviously Zelda GX, F-Zero GX, Soul Calibur 2. Other games already got Sunshine, Fire Emblem, Path of Radiance, Pokemon XD. They're all showing them on there. Yeah. Pokemon XD, Mario Strikers,
Chibi Robo, Luigi's Mansion, and Pokemon Coliseum.
Yep.
And then I wrote, it's the controller that won't die.
Yeah, right. Because they keep bringing it. Someone keeps making it, or they allow you to connect it. Yeah, here.
The GameCube controller has been able to be used on every Nintendo console since it was introduced. You could use it on the GameCube, obviously. You could use it on the Wii. You could use it on the Wii U. You can use it on the Switch. You're going to be able to use it here.
I want them to make one that looks like a Wavebird. Because that would be
when they tilt it, it has that's the body design of the Wavebird.
Yep.
It is the Wavebird.
It is the Wavebird. There you go.
Yeah, I mean that's the Wavebird. That's what because the Wavebird's fatter around the back because that's where the batteries go. So they just use the Wavebird.
That's what I tell people. I'm fatter around the back because that's where my battery goes. I think Melee is going to be when the minute they drop Melee, I think that'll make several folks happy or angry.
Melee's a weird one because it's just Nintendo hates that game.
They do.
And also like they don't want to.
Yes, they have a C button on the GameCube controller. They add that in so they can do
they add like the NES controllers have the SL and LR, SLR and SR buttons.
Yeah.
The Nintendo 64 controller has the buttons on. They throw the necessary buttons on it, but
I'd be curious if they re-release the NES and the Super NES and the N64 controller with the C button.
Yeah, probably.
That's
you just unrelease the ones that you have in the shop now and re-release same store page, just like new any Nintendo and Super Nintendo, and
the C button does nothing on the F-Zero.
Yeah,
cool. Okay, finally an F-Zero game.
Yeah,
we have the Game Boy one.
Yeah, we do have to just start going through all the games that they announced because boy howdy did they do a ton, didn't they?
I'm gonna stop this one. They did a ton.
Because like,
you want to go through the first? Let's go through go ahead.
We kicked it off with Mario Kart, obviously.
Yes,
Mario Kart World.
Let me pop that one up here. Keep going.
And it was the game kind of that we all kind of were expecting it to be in its way. It was always rumored it was going to be an open world, racing game. How that worked, we never really knew. But it's like, is it going to be like Burnout or something?
And it kind of is. I mean,
it kind of is. It's definitely much more. They do it in a very Mario Kart way. It's one big.
Looks really good. By the way, it looks really good. Look at that fire out of that thing. Yeah.
Much more like all the tracks are connected. They say like a Grand Prix mode. after the race, you drive to the next track, which
Yes.
like it's golf.
Yeah.
You know.
Yes. Oh, great.
So like
there are 3 modes they've announced so far.
Yeah. I like the way they do, because they did what do they call their survivor mode? I forget.
It's was it knockout mode?
Knockout mode. I like the way where the checkpoint gate has the number, like what position you have to be to make it through this gate without being eliminated.
Yes.
So it's like,
yes,
so it's got a big, they show it in here, it's got a big 8 in the gate. So if you're 9 or back.
8 in the gate. It's basically like the F-Zero 99 version, right?
Yeah.
With added to this. But I think it's really cool.
And what was the number? It's like 23 racers or something?
24 racers.
24 racers? That's sick.
Yeah, hey, Sam is here. It's perfect time. Sam loves Forza Horizon, and here's Mario Kart Horizon.
Hello,
Mario Kart.
Yes. Geez. I don't know where you guys have covered already.
We just talked about the Wii.
We just started. We were doing the hardware, and now we're just now getting
the Wii. Gotcha. Okay, so yeah, I mean, if we haven't discussed, Mario Kart seems to be 24 players. It's Mario Kart Worlds, which also implies with the free roam and a lot of the like chat functionality that they showed off, that this is going to involve some sort of open world. Much like, as you were mentioning, the Forza Horizon series or like the Motorfest series. My bigger like cool takeaway is the driving between courses, which is something that Forza has done in the past, I believe. But it's interesting as you can kind of see like in the trailer and like in sort of the key art, like these maps do have roads that connect each other. Whether it be a highway or some sort of like access road off to another, like they show basically what looks to be like a standard Mario circuit course, and then like what would be an access road on a Grand Prix circuit that they just take to then, I assume, go on to your next course. And the knockout rounds, which seem interesting, where yes, it will be. From the looks of it, it's like, okay, you've run the first race, and like, you know, if you're not in the first 20 racers or so, then you're eliminated. Then there's probably like another elimination when you get to the second race and like the second race start and stuff like that. So it'll be interesting. You know, I like it's gonna be weird that until we sort of see some of these courses in action, you know, are these going to be more stylistic courses where there is a start and there is a finish? It's not laps like it has been traditionally with Mario Kart. You know, and it also opens up to questions of like, we keep seeing like costume variations of these characters and like kart variations and stuff like that. Like, to what level are we going to be able to customize these cars and change their stats from one kart to another? So, I mean, there's all types of questions with them switching to an open world. I think the more interesting thing that they didn't show, and it makes me slightly concerned, is that they didn't show local split screen. And that is like, Mario Kart has traditionally been a series that has always featured 2 or 4 player split screen. Obviously not on something like the DS or 3DS, except for it has also allowed for that sort of the 3DS and 2DS. I believe you could loan out the game, quote unquote. With that share play, and like everybody else that was playing Mario Kart 7, I think got to play as like Shy Guys, where you could actually choose your character and stuff. So that April 17th direct for Mario Kart World is going to be I think a very enlightening showcase. Like, I think they're going to need to have some form of local multiplayer, just because that is just part of Mario Kart. So before on Switch, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe and stuff has been stuck to 2-player online because the game runs at 60 in that mode. And when you play with 4 players, it drops it to 30. And you can't play with other Switches linked together in 4 players. You always have to play with 2. So there's questions about that with this game then too, right? Is you know, if there is split screen, obviously we can't do online. You know, what frame rate does it drop? The console itself is able to do 120, but 60 connected to the dock. So, like, in handheld mode, is this game going to be able to do 120 hertz? Like, there's just so many questions that I feel like even the Switch like showcase thing didn't really answer it. In fact, opened it up to like about 1,000 more questions for just Mario Kart about how some of this stuff is going to work.
Well, I mean, some of the things I'm looking forward to, like the things you're seeing right here, which is grinding the rail, bouncing off the walls. I think that's being, really putting the playfield in kind of a whole new dimension, I guess you could say. Hopping into the back of that truck,
the spy hunter ass jumping into the back of a truck.
Yeah. I like the outfits. I think the outfits are a really cool idea because now you can actually. You were kind of stuck with Mario as Mario, but now you can actually open up other outfits. Maybe those provide bonuses. I don't know. Maybe they are so that when you have 24 players and 3 people want to be Peach, much like in Smash Brothers, you'll be able to utilize different outfits and stuff to play. But it looks absolutely gorgeous, and this is the launch title, which I think we were all thinking it would be.
Yeah.
I'm curious about the full. And I know they're not going to show it here, and they may touch on it over the next 2 days with the Treehouse Live. I'm sure they'll talk about it, some of the stuff during Treehouse, but they'll probably save the big hits about it during the actual direct in a couple weeks here. But is there a battle mode? Is there can you set up tournaments? Can you do a lot of the things that you did in Mario Kart 8? I mean, doing the tournaments in Mario Kart 8 was actually really cool. Are there going to be events, that a lot of these open world style games have? Horizon has events, Fortnite has events, that kind of stuff. Are there events in this? Could that be something that Nintendo maybe implements later? And then, of course, how does it feel to drive? The size of the thing I always liked about Mario Kart for me is when I play with my nephews who weren't as good at controlling it. There was the bumper mode, right? So that they would never fall off, and they could play. And because it was a kind of a defined narrow highway, we didn't have an issue of keeping everybody on track. With such wide roads now, are there going to be issues with trying to get everybody to go in the same direction? Mario Kart today, you're kind of always pointed in the right direction because of the design of the tracks. So I'm curious how that's going to translate. As a driver, how that translates to here.
It seems
the
like
drift
everything
looks different. I don't know what's
the drift looks so different. Yep.
I don't like.
Well,
you see this.
Everything that they've showed so far, it just increases the skill level that it's going to be to like play Mario Kart. It's a semi-high level.
By the way,
like
off-road vehicles, badass.
Yeah, grinding and like doing kickflips off of walls to
wall
potentially
jumps
gain
and
verticality and speed.
Yeah.
Like it's like you're asking for an entire new skill ceiling for what is Mario Kart, and then trying to address that then for players that are uncomfortable with even the base mechanics of just steering left and right and gas and braking when they need to. Like now it's like, oh, okay, well you can go this way on the track, but if you want to stay competitive with any of your friends that know what they're doing, you're going to have to learn how to grind and then do a jump off of this thing and then up to that platform. Like I think there's the potential that this could get more frustrating. And like the idea that and again, it comes down to the split screenness of it too. Like I feel like if somebody that's not that into Mario Kart, convincing them to buy a Mario Kart on their own and being like, oh, it'll be fun, and then always getting last place, it's probably not the experience that they're looking for.
Right. I have, like you said, there's a lot more questions on this, but I'm actually. I want to know what the tracks are. Like, obviously, there's different biomes, but are we going to have, one of the cool things about Mario Kart 8 was, I'm playing in DK Pass, and all of a sudden I'm in, the next
DK
race
Pass
is
right there. Like,
well, that's what I said. Yeah, and the next race is in Hyrule, and the next race is in Animal Crossing. Are they going to have those aspects in this, or potentially would they be including DLC? Because those tracks all came with DLC, those characters and those courses. Would they be including DLC in this, where you're just kind of adding chunks to this overworld of like, here's the Hyrule portion, you get 4 tracks from Hyrule. Here's Animal Crossing.
I think they may just do DLC packs that are just new maps.
And that could be it. Yeah, new maps and characters.
It's just like this map is this and this.
I see. A whole new giant map. Interesting.
Yeah, because it seems like they've really got everything sort of set up.
Yeah.
to be drivable and like just kind of tacking onto it seems like would be a weird way of going about it.
Unless it's designed ahead of time. But yes,
yeah.
Okay.
I mean, you never know. But...
Now the big. So this is launch day. It can come packaged with the Switch 2. But then we come to find out, hey, it's also $80. It is one of the most expensive modern Nintendo
standard edition video game.
Standard ass edition video game. It's the most expensive game they've put out.
You save $30 getting the bundle.
Right. Well, I was going to mention that too. I kind of wonder if they're doing that price to push. So obviously the tariffs are a big thing, right? They hurts all of us personally.
Everybody's been looking for a reason to pull this trigger for a very long time.
Yeah.
The tariffs help, and just sort of the industry as a whole right now. It's just like somebody was going to pull the games can't be, $70 anymore.
Yeah.
Like, because games have been $60-$70 since the 16-bit era, like
sure.
it's just, like,
I think
they just pulled the trigger, you're gonna see everyone else pulling the same trigger. You're gonna start
I mean, part of it, yeah, but at the same time, I think in this specific, because the new Donkey Kong game, we'll get that in a little bit too. Yeah. The exclusive games that are coming to Switch 2 are cheaper than Mario Kart World. Mario Kart World is the only $80 game that the only new $80 game that they're pushing. And again, I think part of that is maybe because they are trying to get people to buy the bundle, which bumps that price up to $500. The bundle right now is we didn't mention the price earlier, $450 for the Switch, $500 for the Switch with the Mario Kart bundle. So you save $30. Nintendo does not drop $30 off of the price of something. I really feel like they're saying this. We want this $80 because we actually want you to buy the $500 version, which actually is the one that's helping us for the tariffs. We're getting that little extra. They can pump out as many digital versions of this game as they want. And they know this game is going to sell forever, especially when they do eventually drop the price of this thing, because they're going to realize $80 is a lot. So maybe, they'll have sales or whatever. Or they'll release a version. I don't know. But I really feel like the $80 is them pushing to try to get people to get that bundle, which is just a higher price version. And it got me a bundle for me. And yeah, so I don't know. I mean, that's I don't want to say conspiracy theory thoughts, but it's a smart-ish way to approach the push the tariff situation. So think of it this way. If they sold this to you, this game at $70, $69.99, which Nintendo said they're likely going to be going to that. You're still saving. You're going to buy this game at launch. I think the majority of people who buy the Switch 2 are buying it for, Mario Kart World will be the game that they pick up if you're buying it at launch. Okay.
Yeah.
And you're not buying it for playing Breath of the Wild again. But
I was gonna say, just because got to kind of move on, I think.
Yeah. Anyways, we'll move on.
Yeah. Meanwhile, they have their tutorial game that they're selling.
Oh man, yeah.
What
a bizarre.
Yeah.
I can't wait. What's the price of that?
Well, in Japan, it's 990 yen, which in the US, it roughly equates to like $6. Yeah, so I could see them
equivalent to like $8 to $10 American, like after conversion and whatever bullshit. That was just ridiculous, and it looks like it doesn't even look like Astro's Playroom. It doesn't look fun or interesting or cute. It's got like the mini golf thing and stuff. It just seems
it kind of just looks like a walk tour of what is like a Switch, but I mean with interactive experiences.
Yeah, although it does say that the SL and SR buttons are made of steel. Which is like, okay, I guess that's how the magnets work, huh?
Yeah.
No, it definitely feels weird and like almost like we got the I don't even want to say the technical jargon and stuff out of the way.
Yeah.
Like, it really just felt like we kind of just did a brief, like, slapdash overview of things, but like the like stuff that people kind of want to know about, like the OS and you know, like how like that stuff type of works. Like, you know, they hinted at some of that stuff, but like didn't then go into depth of explaining, like, you know, oh, share games, like what is it, Club 51 Games or whatever is going to be the first game that gets this ability that you can locally share these games.
Absolutely not showing the process that you'd have to do to share a game. Just telling you that you can.
So yes, and then also showing that you can share these games with, like, from a Switch 2 to a Switch 1. So like
I'll be interested to see.
So there was also that tech talk that was released with the designers and whatnot, and they mentioned about like that the processing is being done on the master system that's sending it out, right? So you're not downloading a game client; it's almost like it's streaming Wii U style to the other Switch for that game.
Yeah.
So in that theory,
love it.
Does that mean that like something like Mario Kart World you could stream to a Switch 1? Because the Switch 1's not doing any processing power.
I don't know. Yeah, they didn't answer. They only mentioned you could stream games. I don't know if that's Switch 1 games or is it Switch 2? Yeah, it's a good.
Well,
good
so they
question.
said
I doubt it's
Switch 2 games, but so like that's my question is like if the processing's happening on the console, then you know, then what's to stop like that? Or, I mean, all of a sudden now we're interested in smartphone side apps, like the Fallout like app that was for Fallout 3, I believe. Now all of a sudden there's that app, but for Breath of the Wild, like, or Tears of the Kingdom, it just feels like there's a lot of like
unknowns,
half stories here, and not like full explanations of like why are they doing this? Like, why is the tech demo game $5? Like, is there another tech demo game? Is there anything to be like this is mouse mode? Like,
so let's get in. One thing we didn't talk about was mouse mode real quick. Let's get into the mouse mode. That was finally officially confirmed. Yeah, you can use this thing as a mouse. It's got the sensor, the optical sensor underneath. And they even showed off, like, I can see this perfectly. I mean, they talked about Civ. They talked about a bunch of other games. Game Maker Garage is going to use this. Mario Party Jamboree is going to use it in some stuff. They even showed that that new game, Dragon Drive.
Wheelchair Rocket League basketball.
Yeah, it's basically like I'm thinking it's the ARMS team that is.
It looks like ARMS. It's
probably doing that. Yeah,
it looks like it's accomplishing the same thing that ARMS was doing, was using the controllers.
Yes, in a novel way. Yeah.
This
and there
game
we go.
looks miserable to play.
It looks people said that about ARMS as well, and that's why everybody switched to playing ARMS with the regular control methods. But here's the bad part about this. I'm gonna ruin if it's on my pants, I'm gonna ruin my pants. If it's on my coffee table, I'm gonna destroy my coffee table. Guess what else I'm gonna destroy? These Joy-Con, because you're gonna be rubbing them so quickly, you may end up sparking. More should be spark and drive. But
everything about the game looks okay.
Yeah,
but like just the way it looks like it would just be a misery to play.
Yeah, 3-on-3.
And that's the problem I have with the mouse mode in these is like I'm excited about mouse mode, but it's like the way I play video games is not conducive to, especially Switch or console shit. Like, it's not conducive to this mouse mode. Like, my pants aren't a great option, and I don't like sit at a desk.
Like all the footage of people playing Mario Kart in real life. Now I know it's Mario Kart, but almost like none of them had a setup that would have been inducive to playing any game in mouse mode.
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah. So and they just keep showing people with their hands on a white table, like they're standing over it, like they're DJing a set.
When I bought a house, they gave me the white table to do things.
Rubbing.
Did they not give you the white table to do things over when you moved in?
That came with the Switch, right?
They didn't talk about the upgrade games. They announced a handful of the upgrade games.
Yeah, let me get to those. Let me get to the list of those games there.
It's so funny that the first thing they show off, like, is Mario Party. Like, Nintendo's most controversial game. Let's just say it. Like, people get angry when they see Mario Party.
Yeah, which is wild because Mario Party, even a bad okay, never mind. I want to say a bad Mario Party is good, but Mario Party is Mario Party. Yeah. They showed off. They showed off several of these games, right? So Mario Party Jamboree, which it's Mario Party, but now you got the added mouse mode. You got a bunch of other features in there.
None of it looked particularly interesting. Stuff.
It's just it is just gimmick.
Kind of did, but
that would be a excellent game to sell with their camera. Like because especially like the I don't know if you guys covered the like game chat camera stuff at all. Like right now, like that's another thing that really confused me. I was like, this is what we're selling. We're like trying to pitch like Connect Lite in like 2025.
So I mean, hey, sure. I mean, maybe someone will like it. Maybe they can't. Like they're talking about the camera thing here. It's like, hey, check this out. You can see their faces. I don't know why I'd want to, but there's that.
And then immediately pivot into the ones that people actually wanted to see the upgrade paths for. Zelda.
Here's a Zelda. Here's Zelda's. So both Zelda games are getting upgrades. These are.
I don't know if you watched the 4K feed of these.
I did.
But,
good.
So that's my question. Did they confirm? Like, I know they said higher resolutions and frame rates with HDR, but did they confirm like what those frame rates or resolutions were?
What those resolutions or frame rates are on these particular ones? Unless they did it after the fact, like they did with a lot of other random bullshit. Like there are things that they kind of pushed off to other things after the event went on.
So this was, they talked a little bit about, I'm going to try to load it up here. Keep going. Keep talking.
Yeah, I fully expect a lot of the like weird, intricate details that people care about are going to come out of these treehouse things like in the next 2 days. Because if we remember during the Switch launch, like I think there was a game announcement at like the tree like house things like after.
Probably.
I think they snuck, maybe it wasn't right at the Switch launch, but I think like they like sort of snuck an announcement of another like sort of downloadable game like in there. Like I wouldn't be surprised if we don't. If we don't get that, on docked mode, it does run at 4K 60 with HDR, but in handheld, you can turn it to 100.
Additional manual save. I missed that the first time around. That is a very important upgrade to Zelda because having only one game save on those games is the dumbest thing ever.
Whatever.
The
other interesting note that wasn't mentioned in the video but was mentioned in other content later is at least the Zelda game upgrades will be provided for free with the expansion pack of the family membership.
Otherwise, it'll likely be $10 each in Nintendo. I'm just looking at their website now. Both those. The only details for both of them are the improved frame rates, resolution, faster load times, HDR support, so that's good. And then they both have the Zelda Notes app, which is kind of cool. The Zelda Notes thing is kind of interesting. I kind of dig it.
And that's something again I expect that we'll learn more about at the Treehouse. Like that is something that like the nerds want and normal people don't need to know about.
I mean, they I don't know if you guys use the Nintendo Switch app for anything. I use it a lot for Animal Crossing, and then I use it for Splatoon 2 and 3. We use it a lot for that. It's great for Splatoon 3 because you keep track of all your recent battles, it's actually a really good app for that kind of stuff. And this is basically Zelda's version, which is adding the map on there. I'd like this little voice thing.
The GPS
the GPS thing, but also they have these things called voice memories, which were snippets that are recorded, but they're not in the game. They're actually in the app. So it wants you to keep this app open. So as you come up to something, it'll say, "Oh, you found a memory," and it's like somebody's sort of narrating as you're playing.
Zelda telling you,
Zelda telling you
this area or some nonsense.
And then if you're playing Tears of the Kingdom, you'll be able to do the automaton things and actually QR code those suckers out. So that's kind of an interesting thing. But they did look really good.
Yeah. What was the other? The Kirby was the other one with a bonus mode.
Yep, and I'm gonna share.
Don't share Kirby. Nobody cares.
Yeah, okay, let's put Kirby with the bonus mode.
So it's
frame
rates.
And frame rates, the 3D.
Kirby had notoriously bad frame rate. Like
so Forgotten Land was great. Yep.
Yeah,
and then here's the list of the free updates, which is Captain Toad Arms, the Zelda games, Mario. Here is a Wii U game. There are 2 Wii U games that are getting Switch 2 upgrades through the Switch: Mario 3D World and Deluxe. And the notoriously bad Scarlet and Violet are actually getting the upgrades that people may actually dip back into that. Yeah,
Link's Awakening also really needs that.
Both those Links and Echoes of Wisdom. Yeah,
Echoes of Wisdom too. Yeah. Then they also announced that
was me saying it. Yeah,
there was what Switch 2 versions of what was it? Pokemon ZA, which will definitely need it, and Metroid
Prime 4.
There's another one that I feel like I'm missing.
It's Metroid Prime 4 and Pokemon. Those were the 2.
It was funny seeing the trailer for Metroid Prime 4 because we were joking. It's like there's no, that's the Switch 2 version that they're showing. But then they show the trailer here.
They did. They showed the Switch.
You're like, oh, wait a minute. This is actually better looking than the trailer that they showed for the Switch one.
Yes. They don't have the video of that one up. It's within the actual direct, but it looked great, and you can use a mouse, which is awesome.
Mouse mode, and it has performance or graphics mode, so you can do 4K at 60 or 1080 at 120.
Yep. It's cool. HD at 120 and 4K at 60, and you also use a mouse, which is very cool. Both of them get HDR, and then obviously Pokemon ZA. They haven't announced what it will be, but yeah, it'll look better. It'll run better, I should say, than it currently does. And both those games are the cross-gen games. Throughout the day, I've been getting a bajillion emails of like, hey, here are the Switch 2 versions of these. Yeah. This other game is coming up. This other game is coming up. That was just announced recently. But, they didn't announce the Xenoblade upgrade. And I think a lot of these are going to be just dropping in over the next several months. There's
going to be no pomp and circumstance to pretty much any of them.
Yeah, typical Nintendo bullshit. They're not going to have. Yeah,
it'll just be a tweet or a Nintendo Today post, I should say.
Right.
Saying that starting today,
let's get into a few more of the games here because there's a lot of them. Okay. Let me talk about Kirby Air Riders first. Because
you don't even let us sizzle on the Air Riders. You just jump right into the fact that they announced the Kirby Air Riders instead of.
Well, yeah, because we just talked Mario Kart World, and Ryan mentioned it in the chat. He's like, why don't they link these two together?
Two racing games in 2025 on the Switch is insane.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
I really feel like there's going to be more to Kirby Air Riders than just racing, right? They'll throw some Sakurai fun into it, so it'll be a different enough game.
I think it'll still be racing adjacent. I don't think they're going to put.
Yeah. No, it's not like an action game. It's still racing adjacent, but it's just it'll have some cool Sakurai magic in there. All right, JJ, go ahead.
Well, it's like we get the third party list, which crazy stuff for the third party this time. Like
a lot. Which one you want to go with first?
They start it off with Elden Ring, which is cool. Yeah. That's a good Nintendo showing. Like first of all, an M-rated game. Second of all, like a massive game. We know you want it. We want it. Here it is. And it leads beautifully into something that they announced later too. Mm-hmm. What was Street Fighter 6 was announced for it. That's kind of sick. That's Nintendo's missed out on a lot of modern Street Fighters stuff. Like, Street Fighter 4 was on the 3DS, but it was like a weird not bad, but like ugly version of Street Fighter 4 that with cheat mode in it and everything. But there was no 5. There was none of that stuff. So it'd be nice to see that. Deus Ex Machina sequel?
What?
Remember Deus Ex Machina?
Oh no, Damon Ex Machina.
Damon. I think Deus Ex. Yeah.
Oh, you said Deus Ex.
I
was
say
like,
Deus Ex, but yeah, Damon Ex Machina.
Yes, which I freaking love Damon Ex Machina. So I'm very glad this is out. This is coming this year.
Yeah, like a sequel, like just out of nowhere, just like it pops up, and I'm like, is this Makima? And then like, shit, it is.
All of us in the chat were like, in the Discord were like, is this Damon? At first I thought, is it another From Software game? Then I'm like, wait a minute, it has that Damon. We knew they were working on this because they were here. It is. They were talking. They had talked about a sequel that just no one ever went any further, and now here is something they're actually,
because like they re-released it on PC at one point. But the EA popped up saying, "Hey, Madden is coming to the thing." So that's there hasn't been a Madden game since the beginning of the. I think did the Wii U have a Madden game at the very?
At the very beginning. I have that one because that was the only one with Madden because it had my Detroit Lion player in the cover.
Yeah. Into that Harry Potter, Nobody Cares, Tony Hawk 3 and 4,
Split Fiction,
Hitman. That made sense. I sat there mouth agape when they teased James Bond again because they haven't announced anything about that since like 2018 or something. Like they announced that ages ago and they still haven't announced anything. It still has the same
wild that it's
name.
coming to a Nintendo platform as well.
Switch too,
and by the way, Hitman, there are Mario and Luigi pre-order bonuses that you get their outfits. They're right in a green outfit, which is badass.
So good. A Bravely Default remake that made me think for 30 seconds that it was a Final Fantasy IX remake.
Yeah, everyone's like, "Is that Garnet right there? Is that Garnet?" It's like, wait a minute, is that Garnet? No.
That was there. It is right there. That's Garnet. I don't care.
Right. Looks really good.
Yeah, Hyrule Warriors sequel.
Which I'm pretty stoked about that one.
In canon.
It is in canon, as I mentioned. Yup.
Then they did this Deltarune. Was interesting.
Here you go. Yeah.
Chapters 3 and 4. That was fascinating. I don't really know a lot about
Great
Deltarune.
Little video.
I never got into it. I know Zach was interested.
I like it. I like Deltarune. I played a little bit of it. It's great that they actually did have indies in this. So
what you got to let this trailer play out because you get a jump scare of after this with Randy Pitchford, which is always
we all were like, look out.
In his magician's jacket. It was crazy. Civ 7, which is ballsy to put out as a launch title for the Randy.
Terrifying, weird hair. Yeah.
I've heard somebody say he's looking more and more like Milton from Office Space.
He kind of does look like.
Very ballsy to put out Civ 7 when you don't even have like the PC version is in a disrepair.
Yeah.
Can't even get that going.
You need a mouse.
Need it out. Gotta go. WWE announced
back on the Switch, back on Nintendo platform.
The OG Switch got one WWE game, and it was the worst port I had ever seen in my life.
Oh, that's right. The Switch did, the original,
and they never released another one. I note that neither WWE or NBA had a year attached to them, so I'm gonna guess it's next year, not this year's version's popping up.
I would say NBA is probably this year, but WWE is
I think they're just gonna settle with the Switch version getting a goose as opposed to putting out a Switch 2 version. But I don't know what this game was. It was just another like kids adventure game thing.
Well, it would have been great if the stream didn't crash.
Yeah, the stream crashed here, and we all had to switch to the European stream.
And the poor developers were like, somebody help us. It was right after this one.
Absolutely missed the entirety of the debut of Enter the Gungeon 2.
Yeah, here it is. Yeah.
I didn't get to see this until after the fact. I could hear it. I loved Enter the Gungeon 1.
Yes.
I don't know if I'll like this because I don't think games tend to a 2D game going 3D just abruptly like that doesn't benefit from it. I don't know. Let's see. Another game of faceless astronauts. I said another game of faceless astronauts getting murdered on a planet seems to be an ongoing theme everywhere.
We've reviewed like 18 of these games for SideQuesting. But this is from the Astroneer universe, so it's Starseeker.
And then Cyberpunk after this.
Yeah, which is cool. I mean, we knew it was going to come eventually. This is the full Cyberpunk experience, the Ultimate Edition. So it includes Idris Elba.
Yeah, Idris Elba. With that, then we got the Final Fantasy VII remake, which okay. So notice no Final Fantasy VII sequel. I forget what they call the sequel now. Rebirth, yeah. Well, it's because it really hasn't appeared like outside of PC. Like it's still kind of like holed up in some sort of weird.
Well, it says this is the first game in the trilogy.
Yeah.
So they're definitely letting people know that all 3 games are going to come.
It's interesting because like, they never put Rebirth on the PS4, even though this game was on the PS4. So it's sort of like sequestered onto powerful hardware that I don't know what the future holds for the Final Fantasy franchise. Then they did the sizzle reel for a couple of minutes where they re-showed a bunch of stuff, and it has the funniest moment of all time in any of these sizzle reels ever, where all of a sudden out of nowhere for 2.5 seconds after Kanutsugami they show Silk Song right here saying 2025 and then they just move on.
I was like, wait, no, let's go to cows. Story of Seasons.
Let's go to Story of Seasons. Let's go to the Good Harvest Moon for a minute.
Yeah, good night.
It's a fun sizzle reel, but everything that I wrote that like everything is that you see here is just something that's been out in the last 2 years.
Yeah, this is the port portion. This whole thing was the port portion. Of the,
Wild Hearts, which I thought was a game that they killed.
Wild Hearts.
Wild Hearts is
Witchbrook. So this it is again a lot of indies in this, which is great. So some of their dedicated indies are there.
It's my mind, and I think it's going to come up in a couple of seconds.
Marvel,
not Marvel. I've already pre-ordered
Star Wars Outlaws.
That might give it a second shot in the arm.
We'll talk about that in a little bit. No Diablo 4.
No Diablo 4. I'm actually kind of surprised about that.
Yeah.
Like
nothing from Microsoft. Nothing from Microsoft, but I think that's all coming.
Yeah, I think that's all coming. I think we're going to start seeing some things.
Microsoft is going to have their own event coming soon.
Minecraft isn't on
Minecraft. The movie is out, right?
Right now. In a couple of seconds, they just show Ridge Racer, the original Ridge Racer, arcade archives.
Ridge
Racer. Actually, if you look, I actually did write that. I can't see it. I actually wrote it like that on my notes.
Oh, great.
There it is. Archives 2 Ridge Racer. That's crazy. That's they're sequeling
Leighton.
Which is very funny.
Tamagotchi Plaza, which was announced last week. Yeah.
And then after the sizzle reel, they did their big dick on the table announcement.
And I'm gonna play that right now. You ready?
Yeah.
Kirby Air. No, just kidding.
I mean, this wasn't what I was talking about, but
okay. I know what you're talking. Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Let me play the other one first. I'll play the other one first.
Yeah.
This is the one. You mean the one that was born, but not really born, but born, and that would be because there's blood in it. You can't call it Bloodborne, but it's.
I went back and watched a lot of like Giant Bomb and like Nextlander and stuff just to hear because I wanted to hear what their reactions were. It's like when you see Jeff Grubb, did he know about this going into it or something? But it's fun. Everyone kind of had the same idea going into it. They're like, oh shit, is this a Castlevania game?
Mm-hmm.
And they're like,
so we were saying too, is it Castlevania?
Yeah. Wait, no, is this?
Then it was like, is this Bloodborne? We're like, no, it can't be. Wait a minute.
I thought Sony had it, but then even I'm sitting there and I'm like, I guess you never really know what's going on behind the scenes. Like, who knows what the Bloodborne IP? Clearly, they're not doing anything with it. Maybe.
So they still technically own the Bloodborne IP, and this is Bloodborne in all but name. In fact, they have blood in it. There's blood in the title, and it is an 8-player. It's an 8-player PvPvE game.
Yeah. When the From Software logo popped up, people lost their shit.
This would have been the best kind of thing to watch. We'll have to see the Nintendo Store reaction video for this because that would have probably floored bajillion
everyone
people.
was like, when that From Software logo pops up, as everyone's trying to figure out like what this game is.
And it looks so good, man. It looks good.
Bravo to
What the heck,
Nintendo,
man. Yeah.
for like, they knew, like, they bookended. They bookended. Like, it started with Elden Ring and it ends with this, because everything's the next after this, it's 2 first-party games.
Yeah.
Like, to show this off, go all the way, and then at the end show the year, and then exclusively on Nintendo Switch too,
which is wild.
Like, that's wild. This is the most confident Nintendo's been in a very long time. Where they're just like, yeah, man, you guys want to make us our own Bloodborne? And From Software's like, yeah, actually, we would. We got a couple of ideas. How does a multiplayer Bloodborne sound good to you?
And they're like, yeah, we got Night Rain. Let's do a different one. Yeah.
And it's just bravo. Like I said,
have big frogs.
This is just big dick energy coming from this, man. This is just what a way to end the partner showcase. Like, they nailed it. They nailed the landing on this, man.
Nobody was expecting this one.
No,
I think it's pretty wild.
Things. Like this and like Air Riders were definitely like. No, I don't know, man.
And the let's get to, and let's get to the the only Air Riders thing. The Air Riders thing. Remember, Sakurai was working on a game, and he retweeted last week's direct. I think he was a week accidentally ahead of time, but he said he gave Nintendo a really fun pitch, and now we know what it was. It was that Air Riders game. Again, we didn't see anything else besides a cinematic and a graphic that's coming out later this year, but. Let's switch to this one. I think this one, Nintendo threw their banana on the table with this one. Everybody?
I love when that trailer starts up. There were eyes on a rock, and part of me thought for half a second that like Nintendo was able to work a deal with Rare to make something for this.
Could you imagine?
Nuts and bolts too. But like, I think we were all
best name, by the way, Bonanza.
Get Bonanza. You know, they got the whole thing. I like the new DK look. This game looks
great. Looks so good.
This looks like Hulk Ultimate Destruction.
Yes, it does.
Times 10, and I'm all in. Like, as I said in the Discord, Red Faction Gorilla.
I love it. Yeah.
Land deformation shows him digging and punching through walls and tearing up chunks of the land. And I don't know how deep that rabbit hole goes, pun intended, but boy, I sure hope they get this is gonna be like reverse Breath of the Wild, where it's like how like what's the most fucked up thing I can do underground, like to like instead of like can I climb that, it's gonna be can I get there from under there.
By the way, that Donkey Kong, the better Donkey Kong Country visual that they did there with the side scrolling thing, it is, they've there was rumors of this being the game, right? We had heard from folks like, hey, it's not a 3D Mario.
Been really working the Donkey Kong angle lately. So, And when his new redesign kind of started poking up here and there, it became obvious that they had plans for Donkey Kong.
Yep.
And this is clearly the Odyssey team.
Yeah. Yep. This is what they learned from doing 3D World, Bowser's Revenge.
Bowser's Revenge mixed with like some
great logo, by the way.
Great logo, great
the cool. I
wonder what the implication is with like you got OG Donkey Kong there, but like throughout the rest of the trailer you have Donkey Kong in overalls, like there's something like.
But what's interesting to me is. This is July, right? So let's real quick talk about their release slate. They have Mario Kart World. They have both the Zelda updates. They have let's see. Metroid. They have Metroid. Well, they didn't mention the date for Metroid, and I think they're probably pushing that. That's going to be end of the year,
Metroid's holiday, isn't it? They've already said.
No, they never said. No,
Pokemon did they not?
No, it's 2025.
They just keep saying because it was going to be early, and then they pushed it to like spring, and then they pushed it out of because it's going to be like early 2025. Now it's no longer dated, and they're refusing to show a date. By the way, I do think they're gonna maybe that's part of what they're going to showcase tomorrow and Friday. But this feels like a big holiday game, doesn't it? This feels like a holiday level game. And it's coming out in July.
1 month after console launch, here's our big 3D platformer.
And then soon after that, you have Dragon Drive, or right around that time, you have then you have Daemon X Machina 2. You have the first you have Pokemon coming later in the year. You have Elden Ring coming. You have, which I mean, ports aside, you have a lot of first party content this year, and they did this with the Switch. I wouldn't be surprised if they have another direct, maybe even in end of June, to showcase the rest of the second half of the year. Because that could be, they're gonna, it's not just gonna be Pokemon and Metroid. They're gonna have other things throughout the year as well.
There's certain things that are just never off the table, man.
Yeah.
Like Nintendo they do it all the time, where it's like, here's a Mario and it's coming out in 3 months.
Yeah.
Like Mario is not off the table. Like, because that's still most of the year.
They have the Hyrule Warriors game later this year as well.
Yeah. I think that's right now. That's their big holiday release.
Yeah.
So I would say, to play devil's advocate to that, like I would almost say that Nintendo is going to get raked over the coals a little bit for not having a lot at launch. Like, you're basically only first party is Mario Kart World, and then that
Welcome
that
Plaza
tech demo game. Then your next big platformer, which although you could argue that Donkey Kong's probably within the top 5 of Nintendo major title or major earners, I would say. But to not have a brand new Zelda experience or a brand new Mario experience right off the bat is kind of weird for a Nintendo platform, because even something like GameCube, instead of a Mario experience, it launched with a Luigi's Mansion, but that I would still say is close enough to Mario, where Donkey Kong, I think, is maybe,
you mean
more
single player Mario is what you're saying?
And don't get me wrong, this is obviously a platformer that's I see no difference between this and a Mario game. It's just Donkey Kong Punchy instead of Mario Jumpy. But I don't know. As a consumer, right at launch, I don't know that unless you are a huge Nintendo fan, until December, I don't really see a reason to go out and get this thing, other than God knows what tariffs in the market is going to do.
But man, Mario Kart.
Again, I'm just playing devil's advocate, because I know. Don't get me wrong. I'm already in the Nintendo. Let me know. Look how much I've played my Switch 1. Please let me order a Switch 2.
I put 50 hours in yesterday.
I have it on now until the day I can order a Switch 2. I'm in that demographic, but it's try to sell this game, to try to sell it to people right now. I feel like you're okay, day one, what can I play? You got Mario Kart. You can play Zelda again. Well, you can pay for Zelda again, and you can, or you can be a subscription member. Or you can pay to upgrade Mario Party. I don't know. It just feels like there's not a lot of at a new console launch, at least traditionally in the past, it's felt like there's been titles, and again, Series X and PS5, I feel like we're also bucking that trend of not really having a lot from first parties at launch of the console, and kind of relied a lot on these sort of upgrades to sort of hold people through. Now, the first month I think is interesting, but again, it's still just one title. If you're not interested in an action platformer, you have Mario Kart to get you through till Pokemon, maybe. I think that's the argument that they're going to see, unless we start hearing about some of these things, because I'm on board with you too. I definitely think that Nintendo's good for a direct. They like to get information out, hype you about that information, get that product out, and then start hyping you about something else. So once Mario Kart, this direct gets out of the way, the launch of the system gets out of the way, I think we will see what a July, or I'm sorry, not a July, August, September, November, October looks for this console. but we are also going to have to watch where they toe the line of the Switch 1. And are we going to try to sell the Switch 1 alongside the Switch 2 for a couple of years?
Well, it was interesting enough is the price, right? We talked about $450 and $500. By the way, are you guys turned off by that $450 at all? Or are you just like, it's still cheaper than a PS5 and an Xbox?
It's still better. I mean, it's still cheaper than an entry level into a Steam Deck. I mean,
yeah, it is. It is. Yeah.
So,
it sucks only because we know prices got to go up.
Like I said,
what it is.
I think we're all more resigned. Where it's just like, oh, listen, this is just as much out of Nintendo's hands as it is in anyone's in a lot of cases, because this system is cheaper in other countries.
Yeah, like, it is. It is. And in Japan, if you buy the Japanese language only model, it's $330.
Yeah,
and you pay like an extra, like what is it, like an extra $80, extra $60 or whatever to upgrade, so you get the. But even then, it's still less than $400. So I may see if my coworkers the next time they come from Japan pick up. But the price doesn't get me as much anymore, only because it's still cheaper than this, right? It's still cheaper than my freaking phone, which is whatever. But again, Sam, I get your point, and I really feel like this is going to be these first 3 months, because of pricing, because of everything that's going on, because of game selection. It's those early adopters that are going to go after this thing. The hardcore Mario Kart, and there are hardcore Mario Kart people, and there are surprisingly some pretty hardcore Mario Party people, are going to go for something like this. Bravely Default. People were freaking out about Bravely Default. We are going to see, there's more game announcements coming between now and June 5th in the next 2 months. So we're going to see more games. We're going to see, a lot more things potentially coming around that initial 3-month launch time frame. But when, from my standpoint, Mario Kart, which I'll probably put in, I'm going to play the heck out of that for like at least a couple weeks.
I would say
if not more than that. Yeah.
Mario Kart World's going to be a game that I probably play like not I'll always be playing it.
Yes.
I may go a month, couple of months, several months maybe even without playing it, but until the console's dead, it's a game that I know I will always play.
And how I played Forza Horizon, every time a Forza Horizon game comes out, how I play that is like, I'm like 2 to 3 weeks, I'm all in on that game and only that game. And I feel like that's what my thinking is here. And then I'll probably transition into, personally, maybe Bravely Default. Although, by the way, the interesting thing about Bravely Default and Street Fighter, they're both downloads. They're not carts. But Cyberpunk comes on a 64 gigabit cart, which is pretty fun.
Like I was saying, earlier when we were talking about how the SD card situation with it, and 256 gigabytes is a lot of space, but it's like, I know from personal experience that Hitman is like 150 gigs.
I'd be very curious to see what those numbers are for the Switch.
Yeah,
they're totally different.
Something like Fortnite, even a free-to-play game, I assume it will be running like at the very least the like PS4 version full now. So like it'll probably be 75 gigs.
And it's not like in the past where it's like, well, it's not like the assets are compressed and stuff. No, it's going to be running. You're gonna have to have the 4K assets for docked mode. So it's going to be the full Hitman experience. I don't know what Nintendo's compression situation's going with here, or anyone's compression situation.
Who knows?
I don't have a good feeling about the data space right now. I think that it's early adopters are going to get this thing first. The unfortunate part of some of this is that the UI of the Switch 2 seems to look exactly like the current Switch with a couple extra icons at the bottom. So there's no themes, there's none of that stuff yet. I feel like the Switch 2, because it's a different architecture, can start to add some of that stuff later. You don't need to add it all at once. You don't. You just get
I think it's Nintendo right now is thinking we just got to get this sucker out and start getting sales, and then
it took them like 3 years to give us folders on the Switch.
Yeah, exactly.
And some of that stuff will need to be like dug into from like a technical analysis too, right? Because we've seen these, like, this system is apparently capable of outputting your video, although at a much reduced frame rate, to others, while also playing back your live gameplay and like 4 video feeds. So like how much of the available technology in this device is being sequestered just for the OS. So like there's like OS level things. So yeah. So many questions.
So we do so many freaking questions. It's going to be something that they're going to have to continue talking about, and they're going to be monitoring. I'm sure there's a lot more back end stuff in this that Nintendo is doing, stuff they've learned from the Switch. But I'm thinking like there's back end stuff to help kind of understand what players are engaging with, how they're using their Switch, what they want to see. Nintendo has actually been a much more engaged company in terms of kind of working with fans, and I think there was a point where they realized we can't do all of this on the Switch. And it probably after 2020, when they got to that peak, they realized, I mean, they were probably developing this sucker since 2020, anyways, 2021. But they probably realized, we've hit the wall on the Switch. You're not gonna get increased sales by adding themes or folders or anything 3 years, 4 years into this thing. Let's move on over to the Switch 2 and go from there with some of that stuff, and then see how players are utilizing the chat. If the chat becomes a big thing, they may try to make that more of a focus on their UI and more of things like that. So I mean, they added video to the Switch recording, right? It was only images at first. They added video like 2 years after, right? So
famously unlocked the ability to use Bluetooth audio like 3 years.
Right, exactly.
Right,
exactly. Because enough people demanded it, and it still wasn't the best because if I try to use my AirPods, I have to resync them almost every single time.
Yeah, but, it limited the types of controllers you could use. And like, it was a mess, but
exactly. But they did it, and so I think they probably have learned. My thoughts are they've learned a lot. And you read the developer interview, and it does seem like they have, right down to the name, right? They talked about the Super Nintendo Switch, and they're like, well, that was one of the ones we were thinking about, but then we realized the connotation is that it's a whole different device. You can't use the old the Super Nintendo to the old Nintendo that was not compatible. We didn't want people to think that, so we wanted this to be the Switch 2, and that's why we went that direction. So
I think the Switch 2, even though it's incredibly boring, is the right name, because it is.
It really is.
It does tell you. It leaves no gray area. It's the Switch, but also the next one. So
there's no wild and crazy hook to this device. Right.
That's what I love about it. This is a different type of Nintendo. Yeah. They don't like to be iterative, except this time they decided we actually really need to be iterative.
Yeah, I think so. I think they realized that and their point was, and if you read that developer interview, they say, listen, we had the Switch and the innovation was the Joy-Con at the time, right? Popping those suckers off of a screen.
Which isn't true, because the innovation is it being a portable home console.
Right, exactly. But they managed to bring up, look at what we did with this idea. We got more innovation and more cool things out of it. We got Ring Fit Adventure. They got Labo or whatever. They got a bunch of other stuff.
I think the HD Rumble stuff is actually super cool, and I kind of wish they played with that a lot more than they did, because there was some really cool stuff.
Make it an actual game instead of something you turn on and off. Yeah. Like, give me a Nintendo Cup reading game, right? Like, something, this is the actual game is called
There's a theory. There's the potential of Nintendo making a Nintendo game for blind people. Like,
really, yeah. But I'm still looking at this because I watched the trailer during the direct, and this is my first time like rewatching it and over again.
I've been thinking about it since they showed it.
It's so good.
This
man.
thing checks every box of of like the kind of bullshit I'm into.
It's more fun than Mario. Donkey Kong got goofy because of the movie. I think the other thing is they realize how big and popular he was in the film. Like he was kind of the star of the movie. And
that's
they may
always
have
sort of a bummer, right? Like Mario became such a hit that like Nintendo exists because of this character.
Yeah.
And they just kind of push him to the side all the time. He's always like he's never the focus, and to have him be the focus here is
it's great. Like he's goofy as hell, and he's having look at he's sticking his tongue out as he's like being playful. They spent the time to redesign him. He did an awesome movie, and I think there is this Donkey Kong renaissance, and I don't know how deep this game is compared to Odyssey. Like Odyssey, there was a lot in Odyssey. You go back to that game, and even after all those updates, like there were a bajillion updates to Odyssey.
They added a VR mode to Odyssey.
VR mode. Yeah. You can hide certain things. You can make like kind of like timing and maps and stuff. But no, I think when you think about what Nintendo, I'm gonna stop sharing. When you think about what Nintendo is doing with the Switch, I think the early adopters are going to jump in right away, and I think we're going to start we're going to get more announcements. There's a point where you don't want, and this is us knowing over the years, you don't want to have every announcement on that day because I wrote 15 articles. I've still got a few more to write tonight before I go off the bed, and you have to go 3 pages deep now on SideQuesting to start finding information from yesterday, let alone from this morning, and that's going to get even worse. So you don't want your news lost in the shuffle. So to the point, Ryan was actually saying, any indie announcements since the big announcement? There have been a few indie announcements since then. I've been getting emails like, "Hey, our game is coming to Switch 2. Our game is coming to Switch 2." Hades 2, Hollow Knight, Deltarune. I think those are the 3 that they focused on in the direct. But I think that it will be, we'll have stuff at PAX next month that's Switch 2 as more dev kits are going to start going out more. I did like the story about Embracer Group not getting a dev kit because just they're so chaotic.
That's such a sick story. Hell yeah.
Nintendo actually doing something smart. They're like, you know what? You guys are way too chaotic. So why don't you slow down? Then
There's no way for us to guarantee that this dev kit's going to go to a studio that's even open by the time it gets to them. So,
and I know of. I don't know exact games, but I know there's other studios that have dev kits that I've been told have dev kits. So, and I'm going to assume certain games that have been announced are being worked on for the Switch 2 as well. So, and in the indies, we're going to start getting indies quickly. Unity came out today and said, Unity, we're all in on the Switch 2. We have the licenses, we have all that kind of stuff. Game Maker is the same thing with Opera. My new favorite browser, Opera GX, after all their shit stirring, they came out and said, because I think they own Game Maker now, right? They said, listen, we're Game Maker fully functioning with Switch 2. We've already got people with projects going forward with it. So, you're gonna start to see a lot of the indie stuff. And,
Nintendo created a renaissance that they didn't realize they were creating. It's so funny. Like, like Nintendo really helped indie games refined their footing on top of like just sort of changing what game. One thing that they changed that is very fun that you don't really realize is like optimization situations, because like it sort of also forced the Steam Deck to exist in a way too, and like now games are more compatible across everywhere these days. It's very interesting.
Taylor and I talked about this a couple episodes back. It was just Taylor and I, and we noted he made a good point. He's like, the Switch, and then into the Steam Deck, because not necessarily the same console, but the idea being a baseline console helped reset a lot of
things were getting out of hand.
They're getting out of hand. From the indie standpoint, we now have a baseline for every indie to work, and then going from there, AAA games, however they function. Like not every AAA game functions on the Steam Deck. The 1-year-old Steam Deck, 2-year-old Steam Deck. So, but you will have like AA and single A games that function, mid-tier games. Those all function well enough, and I think that Nintendo with the Switch did that. And I'm curious to see what the Switch 2 does. But let's wrap this sucker up. We've been talking for an hour and a half. It was a meaty presentation today. There was so much stuff. There's a lot of games that haven't been announced, but like I said, I still think like Nintendo's probably going to drop another Direct in June or July at some point. This sucker's June 5th. I've put my name in on the Nintendo website to try to get the Switch. How about you guys? JJ, you probably did too.
I did.
Sam?
I did a Nintendo Shop one. Yeah.
Sam, you did too. Okay.
Yeah.
But that's not to say that when that day rolls around and Best Buy's
right
pre-orders go live, that I'm not going to.
I would do Best Buy
because I would much rather prefer to go through Best Buy than
get it midnight launch.
Get a midnight launch. Take the 5th off from work.
But plead the 5th. No, I like the Best Buy thing because like in the fine print right now, they made it a point that they're like, by the way, for every $150 you spend on Nintendo stuff, you get $20 back, and the Switch 2 you're getting $60 back right there, and you'll probably grab another Pro controller, you're getting $80 back. And that Pro controller is essentially free or whatever, like whatever you want to do. So, final thoughts on the Switch 2 and the announcement? What grade? I don't know. What would you, Sam? What are you thinking? Final thoughts for the Switch 2 day?
I mean, Mario Kart World is incredible. And an open world Mario Kart. My only questions with that is the split screen like type of stuff.
Sure.
Like local play. What does that look like? But yeah, I mean, it is. I don't know. I kind of sit on the fence of, I'm a Nintendo fanboy. So like, they could have said, and you get one limb chopped off with every purchase. And I was like, sick, I'll take 2. So like, there's some of that. And Mario Kart World, I think as Mario Kart 8 or Deluxe or whatever the Switch version's called, has and still will continue to be a system seller for that console. And it was released for the previous console before it. Like that thing will continue to sell numbers even until however long this game, the system lasts.
It especially helps that 8 and World are 2 completely different types of games too.
Yeah.
So it's not going to cannibalize 8 numbers. Like people are still going to want to buy 8 because it's a traditional Mario Kart with no real sense right now that Mario Kart World is going to have just a select your track and go thing. Like
really kind of interestingly enough, the Mario Kart World bundle is only good through to fall, they said. So after that it's done because they know they're gonna sell. They're gonna be selling. They want to sell the. They're gonna have more in stock and sell that sucker stuff.
Yeah, it really feels like right now, like this console is a Nintendo fan console, and like they are going to build this thing towards like what is then a holiday 2025, like Black Friday, like that. The like thing with making Mario Kart 8 like Mario Kart World's $80 now is like. Wouldn't it sure be nice if when you're selling that console at full price during Black Friday, the game's $60? Like, it's like they're playing this smart. I think the Switch also benefit from being exciting off the back of a console that wasn't very exciting in a time period where there's not a lot of games. We've kind of changed the industry since then. Like, games are coming out more spread out throughout. The months, like June right now is Forza on PS5.
No, that's this month.
Yeah, that is like
that's this month.
Weeks. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That and Indie are this month. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm not sure. Then I'm not sure if anything else is major in this summer.
Doom.
I'm trying to think.
Is summer?
Is there? Yeah.
Doom at some point.
Doom is May, I think. End of May, end of June. Yeah. Regardless. Like I think there is enough stuff going on in the industry right now that it's not a huge lull. We are currently in this state of tariffs and stuff like that. So who knows what the market looks like by that time, by holiday 2025. So it's, I think that they have a strong title, and I think that system.
June is Death Stranding 2. That's
Death
the
Stranding
Dune.
2.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's the Dune game. Which I'm surprised Death Stranding 1 wasn't announced for Switch, but yeah.
But yeah, so I think it's one of those where I think if it was literally anybody else but Nintendo, they would have a hard road to toe between now and holiday 2025, or until they see like, some major drop by themselves or somebody else. But Nintendo, I think with, Mario Kart, and then a month later, hitting you with like that major game again.
Well,
as of right now, and who knows, we might see an August major hit or a September major hit sooner rather than later too.
Mario Wonder 2 or some shit.
It could, and that's the thing, as you mentioned with Nintendo, it could be a Mario Wonder 2, or it could be like, here's Zelda HD triple pack, like you know what I mean, like Metroid, or here's
Metroid Prime 2.
Here's Metal Gear Solid Delta or something. I don't know.
Here's Pikmin released in 4K 60.
Metal Gear Solid Twin
mouse
Snakes
control mode. So like there's plenty of chances for surprises and stuff. I just think if you're like a cynical like gaming fan, that's the Switch was always like your platform number 2. I just don't know that there's anything right now that makes you gravitate towards it, unless you are like, Nintendo is my is my comfort food. Basically.
And that's the thing too, because like it's all good points, but like Nintendo has proven time and time again that they can really just move products on the bare bones.
Sony
and Microsoft can't like limp along on a single franchise. Like they don't have that franchise anymore. Microsoft used to have those franchises. You could easily just move an Xbox by promising a Halo game at the very beginning, or Gears of War or whatever. But like those days are kind of gone, especially since they've gotten so big. And Sony, I don't know what Sony's deal is anymore. Like I still don't, like, outside of Astrobot, like I still don't know exactly what Sony has released on the PlayStation 5. And
you know what? It's funny because like JJ, what are your? I mean, is that kind of part of your thoughts? Or
no, I hated it.
I like that Mario Kart.
I hated every.
It's a great Mario Kart shirt, by the way.
It's from the Super Nintendo world.
Nice.
At Universal.
Where I'm going to the one in Universal in Florida in June.
Nice. Yeah, you're gonna get your Switch 2 and then immediately get on an airplane.
I am actually. The day after I get my Switch 2, I'm flying to Summer Game Fest.
Yeah, SGF is June 6th.
Yeah. And then later that month, I'm going to Florida. But no, my thoughts are I enjoyed it. It was what I needed. I don't want a gimmicky thing right now, because it would mean having to kind of relearn a whole new freaking thing.
That was early into the Switch's life cycle, and I became a super big fan of, like, I love everything about this. I love being able to just sit down and play like a legitimate Zelda game anywhere. I'm like, it's gonna suck when Nintendo pivots to something else in their next system. Like, I'm just going to abandon all of this. And then it got to a point where it was just like, nah, this is too good. Nintendo, this is what Nintendo is now.
I completely agree. And for someone like me who still is getting through some backlog games, is a big Mario Kart fanatic, and never played enough of like Cyberpunk or Elden Ring. I mean, I could potentially dive into those on the Switch. I mean, I could stream them to the portal. Maybe that's what I'll end up doing instead. But
I'm sure that's what you're doing.
That'd probably be easier. But I don't want to have to learn, like you're saying. I don't want to have to learn a whole new thing. I don't want, going from the Wii U and the PS4 to the Switch initially was like, all right, it's a whole new thing. It's a whole new thing. I have to go start from the very beginning again. And there were 3 games.
Controllers.
Yeah, there were. I think it launched with Zelda, and it launched with Snipper Clips, and that was like Switch.
No, it was like, and not even like joking. Like, it was literally 2 games at launch.
Yeah, and then like 2 days later, you had
one of the greatest games ever made.
Snipper Clips. And then like then you had Puyo Puyo like a week or 2 after that. You had Mario Kart at the end of the month. And so the original Switch did not have a solid launch day except for Zelda. It was a Zelda machine. But
Nintendo said we need to get this out.
Yeah, and I think the Switch 2 is actually going through that direction right now. It is following a similar direction. Now, I will say, I mean, those first few months are great. If somehow they get Metroid Prime 4 within the first 4 months, that would be killer. That would be pretty phenomenal. But even then, you're looking at still getting this year Metroid Prime 4, Pokemon Z, Pokemon Legends, Hyrule Warriors. If that's at the end of the year and you still have Donkey Kong, you still have Daemon X Machina. I know it's kind of a niche game, but you still have Mario Kart World. You're gonna get one or two more things this year than potentially. Then I think you're in a good shape. I think you're really good shape.
Hyrule Warriors is going to be interesting because that's just going to mostly get the rub from the fact that it's a brand new Zelda game on the brand new Nintendo system. Yeah. Not so much that it's a brand new Hyrule Warriors game. Because it's not exactly like those games lit up the charts.
Sure.
Unnecessarily. Sure. So.
But there's a lot of stuff we didn't see over the last week, right?
Yeah.
We knew there was those Wind Waker HD games. We knew, the Zelda game. We knew there was Metroid Prime 2 and 3 have been ported. We know apparently there was the Fire Emblem remake. So Nintendo is still sitting on a lot of games.
Yeah.
And who knows when they're going to come out. They had the Switch thing last week, and those games are coming out for this console. So there's a lot. There's still a lot coming out. But I was really happy with it. The pricing thing, console-wise, I mean, $50 cheaper would have been great, but I can swallow this one only because there's actually, just looking online, there's a lot of great trade-in things happening at the moment. You can trade in your Switch Lite for $100 towards the Switch 2, so that's a great deal right there. But I feel like I think just some of the game pricing stuff is something I'm going to be much more cognizant of.
Yeah,
but other than that,
and they haven't been super forthcoming about a lot of the pricing stuff too.
Yeah,
it's still kind of a mess to try to break down exactly what everything is going on with that. But whatever.
Yeah, finding it. Yeah. But yeah. So,
we're done. That's it. Wrap it up. Let's
that's good.
Hour 45.
Hour 45. Great time, gentlemen. Thank you very much on this wonderful Switch day. I've got to go make hot dogs. Don't ask me why, but I do. And going to say goodnight. You find us at sidequesting.com, SideQuesting TV on YouTube and Twitch. Hop into the Discord on sidequesting.com. Chat with us there. These yahoos that were throwing comments at us in the chat, Ryan, Zero, Exaggeramoose, a few other folks, they're all in the Discord as well. And become a Patreon member because that always helps. You can find us individually. Find me on Blue Sky at DollyDemowski.com. You can find JJ _J.Busky.social. Sam is there at Endless Ocean. I don't even know. At Blue Sky. I'll have your link.
Endless Ocean coming soon.
Endless Ocean coming soon. And we're at sidequesting.com on Blue Sky. With that, we'll see you on the next episode of The Side Quest. Bye-bye. Thanks, everybody. Happy Switch Day.